Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's episode of Morte D'Arthur. Tonight we ask the question, is King Mark the most cowardly knight on all of planet Earth? And tonight we will be answered as he is forced into combat with some very fierce knights of the Round Table once again. Hello Clockwork, hello Black Rabbit, hello Karen. Welcome guys, welcome. Happy Tuesday to you all. I had to stop there and think what day of the week it was. So there, you did miss Bowie, Black Rabbit, you did. I will stick it up on the website though. I'm aware that since we started the new year, I haven't put any of the New Year's episodes up on the website. As I've been a bit busy with another website at the moment, so I'm hoping that perhaps later this week I might be able to go and put it all. I saw that you tweeted me, Clockwork. I haven't been on Twitter yet. I haven't actually. Well, I've just finished working for an hour to come on and do this, and then I'm going to be back doing a bit more work, probably until about 11 o'clock. And then I might be able to go and look at Twitter. So I've seen it's there, and I'm very excited to being able to get back to doing social media stuff. The website I'm working on is almost finished. It's almost finished, guys. Give it another few days, and it'll be in the bag, which will make me happy and other folk happy as well. And hello Rosie, hello Scope Scribe, hello Queen, hello Kevin. Welcome guys, welcome. Come in. Oh, pardon me. Come in. Hello. We'll give it another minute or so, and then we will get started with tonight's tales, ladies and gents. And for those of you like Black Rabbit who missed yesterday, I will give you one hell of a catch-up to explain just where we are and how King Mark has got himself into such trouble at the hands of mean Arthurian knights. Well, not even mean Arthurian knights. It's all King Mark's fault. He's brought some terrible things upon himself because he is the most wicked, most vile and treacherous king in all the world. So, hello for those of you who are new, by the way. My name is Simon, and every night at this time on Periscope, I read the old tales of King Arthur as written by Sir Thomas Malory. And at the moment, we are telling the story of King Mark. King Mark is King of Cornwall, one of the low kings of England, ruled on high by King Arthur, though Cornwall is its own state. And throughout all of Britain, Cornwall is famous for having some of the weakest, least chivalrous, most cowardly knights in all the realm, not the least of which is King Mark himself. In fact, there's only one knight in all of Cornwall who's worth any kind of skill or praise, and that is, in fact, the noble knight Sir Tristram, the most faithful knight in all of the world, and the knight that King Mark most despises. For Tristram is King Mark's nephew, and King Mark has often been jealous of Tristram's skill in arms, of his fame, of the way that people love him and tell his tales, and most of all, King Mark has been angry that his own wife, Queen Isolde, is madly in love with Tristram, and Tristram is madly in love with her. Now! Shock horror, I heard you gasp. Can this man Tristram be any good if he is in love with his uncle's wife? If he is in love with his king's queen? Well, ladies and gents, the love between Tristram and Isolde existed long before King Mark ever laid sight upon her. Indeed, when King Mark sent Tristram off to Ireland to fetch Isolde, when he demanded that Isolde should be his bride, King Mark did it part to spite Tristram and part because he had planned for Tristram to be assassinated along the way. Tristram lived, however, and it wasn't until Tristram and Isolde, unable to keep their love a secret any longer, were finally caught in the same bed, naked, that Tristram was exiled from Cornwall. After all, no man could bear to execute him. In his exile, though, Tristram has become famous, and word of Tristram's skill and prowess in battle has spread throughout the realm. King Arthur himself has recently made Tristram a Knight of the Round Table, and King Mark cannot stand this. He is overcome by anger and rage to think that such a knight as Sir Tristram should usurp him. Such a knight as Sir Tristram could have more fame than he could ever dream of. And so King Mark has hatched a plot. King Mark's plan is to travel in secret to Camelot, and to come to Camelot in disguise, and there to assassinate Sir Tristram. Things have not gone as they should have, however, ladies and gents. The knights that King Mark first set out with all deserted him once they learned that King Mark had those devious plans in mind. And just now, Tristram has come across Sir Dinadan. Sir Dinadan, a knight of the Round Table, who swore upon his chivalric honour that he would take King Mark to Camelot, and that he would not reveal King Mark's identity when he arrived. However, that's not to say that Sir Dinadan hasn't thought to have a little bit of fun with King Mark, that cowardly, treacherous knight along the way. For Dinadan and King Mark have just come across 6 knights of the Round Table: Sir Owain, Sir Brandiles, Sir Ozana le Cure Hardy, Sir Owain, Sir Agravain, and Sir Mordred. And when Sir Dinadan caught sight of these knights, he challenged King Mark that he and King Mark should ride towards them and challenge them for battle. And so Dinadan charged forward, having no intention of actually striking any blow. And King Mark, not realising a game was afoot, turned tails and ran. And so now, ladies and gents, with Sir Dinadan making good cheer amongst his fellow knights of the Round Table, let's see just what happens to King Mark, and if he can be crowned the most cowardly knight in all of Britain. Ladies and gents, let's get into tonight's show. It was then that those 6 knights asked Sir Dinadan of his adventures, and whether he had come across Sir Tristram or Sir Lancelot, those 2 most famous knights. "So God help me," said Dinadan, "I saw none of them since I departed from Camelot." "What knight is that," said Sir Brandil, "that so suddenly ran off from you and rode over yonder field?" "Sir," said Dinadan, "it was a knight of Cornwall, and the most horrible coward that ever bestrode a horse." "What's his name?" said all the knights. "I know not," Sir Dinadan lied. And so, when they had reposed themselves and spoken together, they took their horses and rode to a castle where dwelled an old knight, who made all knights errant good cheer. And in the meanwhile that they were talking, then came into the castle Sir Griflet le Fille de Dieu, and there was he welcome, and there they all asked him whether he had seen Sir Lancelot or Sir Tristram. "Sirs," he answered, "I saw them not since I departed from Camelot." And so, as Dinadan walked and beheld the castle, thereby, in another room, he saw King Mark. And Dinadan rebuked King Mark and asked him why he had fled. "Sir," said he, for I durst not abide, because there were so many. But how did you escape them? Said King Mark. Sir, said Dinadan, they were better friends than I had thought them to be. Who is the captain of their fellowship? Said the king. Then, for to fear him, Sir Dinadan said that the captain of that group was in fact Sir Lancelot. Oh, Jesus, said the king. Might I know Sir Lancelot by his shield? Yes, said Dinadan, for he bears a shield of silver and black bands. And all this he said to scare the king, for Sir Lancelot was not in that group. Now I pray you, said King Mark, that you will ride in my company. I am loath to do such a thing, said Sir Dinadan, because you forsook my fellowship. Right so, said Dinadan, who then went from King Mark, and went to his own friends, and so that group mounted upon their horses and rode on their ways, and they talked of the cowardly Cornish knight. For Dinadan told them that he was in the castle where they had lodged. It's well said, said Sir Griflet. For her have I brought Sir Dagonet, King Arthur's fool, that is the best fellow and the merriest in all the world. Will you do well, said Sir Dinadan. I have told the Cornish knight that here is Sir Lancelot, and the Cornish knight asked me what shield he bore. Truly, I told him that he bore the same shield that Sir Mordred carries now. Did you so? Said Sir Mordred. I am hurt, and may not well bear my shield nor harness, and therefore put my shield and harness upon Sir Dagonet, the fool, and let him set upon the Cornish knight. That shall be done, said Sir Dagonet, by my faith. And then, anon, was Sir Dagonet the fool armed in Mordred's harness and his shield, and he was set on a great horse with a spear in his hand. Now, said Dagonet, show me the king, for I believe that I shall bear him down. And so all these knights rode to a woodside and waited there until King Mark came by. Then they put forth Sir Dagonet, and he came on all the while that his horse might run straight unto King Mark. And when he came nigh King Mark, he cried as he were wood, and said, Keep yourself, knight of Cornwall, for I shall slay you. And anon, as soon as King Mark beheld his shield and saw the fool, he thought to himself, Yonder is Sir Lancelot. Alas, now I am destroyed. And therewith he made his horse to run as fast as it might through thick and thin. And ever did Sir Dagonet follow at the heels of King Mark, crying and rating him as a woodman through a great forest. And when Sir Owain and Sir Brandiel saw Sir Dagonet so chase King Mark, they laughed. And then they took their horses and rode after to see how Sir Dagonet sped. For they were not for no good that Sir Dagonet was shent. For King Arthur loved him passing well, and made him knight with his own hands. And at every tournament he began to make King Arthur laugh. And then the knights rode here and there, crying and chasing after King Mark, that all the forest rang of the noise. Halfway through tonight's tale, ladies and gents. Halfway through tonight's tale, and we have seen that Sir Dinadan, fed up with the cowardice of King Mark, has decided to tell King Mark that Sir Lancelot was amongst the company of Arthurian knights, and, even though Sir Lancelot was not with them, to dress up King Arthur's fool, Sir Dagonet, and pretend that he was Sir Lancelot so that Sir Dagonet might chase King Mark across the country. Don't feel sad for Sir Dagonet, though, ladies and gents, for Sir Dagonet, the fool of King Arthur, has been to Cornwall before, and the last time he ventured into Cornwall, he only just escaped with his life after King Mark chose to try and set his men upon him. Indeed, Sir Dagonet, at that time, was saved by Tristram. Anyway, let's continue with the second half of tonight's tale. And so, King Mark rode by fortune by a well, and in the way there stood a knight-errant on horseback, who was armed at all points, with a great spear in his hand. And when that knight saw King Mark come flying, he said, "Knight, come back for shame! Stand with me, and I shall be your God." "Ah, fair knight," said King Mark, "let me pass, for yonder comes after me the best knight in all the world, and he bears the black-bended shield." "Fie, for shame," said the knight. "He's hardly one of the worthy knights of the world, and if he were Sir Lancelot or Sir Tristram, I should not doubt to meet the better of them both." And when King Mark heard him say that word, and that this knight who chased him was not Sir Lancelot, then he turned his horse and waited with the knight. And that strong knight bore a spear as Sir Dagonet came riding out of the underbrush, and he smote Dagonet so sorely that he bore him over his horse's tails, and nigh he had broken his neck. And anon after came Sir Brandiel, and when he saw that Dagonet had had that fall, he was passingly wroth, and he cried, "Keep yourself, knight!" And so they hurled together in battle, and how we go? Wait, I've lost. And so they hurled together in battle, wondrously sore. But the knight smote Sir Brandiel, and so that he went to the earth, horse and man. And Sir Owain, who came after, saw all of this. "Jesus," he said, "there yonder is a strong knight." And then they readied their spears, and this knight came so eagerly that he smote down Sir Owain. And then came Rosanna with the hardy heart, and he too was smitten down from his horse. "Now," said Sir Griflet, "by my counsel let us send to yonder errant knight, and know whether he be of King Arthur's court, for as I deem it is Sir Lamorak de Galis." And so they sent unto him, and prayed for the strange knight to share his name, and answer whether he was in fact a knight of King Arthur's court. "As for my name, you shall not know. But know this, I am a knight-errant as you are, and let them know I am no knight of King Arthur's court," he said. And when Sir Griflet's squire had been told this, he returned and told that answer. "By my head," said Sir Agravaine, "he is one of the strongest knights that ever I have seen, for he has overthrown 3 noble knights, and needs we must fight with him for shame." And so Sir Agravaine readied his spear, and that other one was ready, and he smote himself down, horse to the earth. And in the same way that knight smote down Sir Owain in his turn, and also Sir Griflet, and had he served them all but Sir Dinadan, for he was behind and last, and Sir Mordred was unarmed, and Dagonet had his harness. And so when this was done, and the knights defeated or unable to fight, then this strong knight rode on his way a soft pace. And King Mark rode after him, praising him much. But he would answer no words, and instead he sighed, wonderly sore, and hung down his head, and paid no heed to the king's words. Thus they rode well for 3 miles, and then this knight called to him a varlet, and bade him to ride towards yonder fair manor, and he recommended him to the lady of that castle and place, and pray her to send of good meats and drinks. And if she asked you, or to tell her that he was a knight who followed the glaticent beast, or the questing beast, as we say it. For that beast, wheresoever he goes, that knight would follow. And such a noise as that beast would make, it was as if it made the noise of 30 hounds. Then the castle's varlet went his way, and came to the manor, and saluted the lady, and told her from whence he came, and whence she understood that he came from the knight who followed the questing beast. "Oh, sweet Lord Jesus," she said, "when shall I see the noble knight, my dear son Palamides? Alas, will he not rest with me?" And therewith she swooned and wept, and made great passing sorrow. And also, soon as she might, she asked the varlet of all that he'd asked. And the varlet returned unto Sir Palamides, for that was the knight who rode with King Mark. And as soon as he came, he told the knight's name. "I am well pleased," said King Mark, "but hold yourself still, and say nothing." And then they alit, and set themselves down, and reposed for a while. And soon King Mark fell asleep. And when Sir Palamides saw him sound asleep, he took his horse, and rode onwards on his way, and said to them, "I will not be in the company of a sleeping knight." And so he rode forth a great pace. And there, ladies and gents, we end tonight's tale. King Mark, cowardly King Mark, saved at last by a much greater knight, Sir Palamides. Of course, what King Mark doesn't know is that just as Tristram is besotted with Queen Isolde, so too is Palamides. But all that will be revealed tomorrow night, ladies and gents, as we get into tomorrow's tale. Oh, the lady's always worth it. The lady, Queen Isolde, is definitely worth it. I'm sorry, I stumbled a little bit there with the reading, ladies and gents, because the style of the writing changed so suddenly in that chapter, and I know that Thomas Mallory collected these stories from different writers, and also that different scribes have written it down in different parts. And you can see in that section, all of a sudden, such a strange shift in tense and diction, that you go, and all of a sudden you see that it's a different writer who's come in. Did I read it all a lot myself? I've read it before, but I've never read it aloud before. When I go and read it on here, this is the first time I read it aloud when you guys hear it. And indeed, I haven't read Morte D'Arthur in about a decade before doing it with you guys. So it's all done on the fly, ladies and gents. All comes up on the fly. Well, I'm much more comfortable now than in the early days, Black Rabbit. When we first started doing it, I know the stories. Remembering the details, like Sir Palamides saving King Mark, no, that stuff I've completely forgotten about. But I know the stories. But in terms of prep, there's no prep. There's no prep. I've been working solidly since this morning, all the way up until now. Far too many hours of work. in the day. So yeah, there's no time for prep. It's a wonderful book cover. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous book cover. So it's a wonderful, wonderful book as well. Nice gilt edging on it too. These are the old stories, Black Rabbit. The old, or when we are talking of going back about 600 years for these stories. And so yes, these days, I mean, the book is 600 pages long, and we're halfway through the book so far. So yes, in modern tellings, lots gets cut out or trimmed or edited or played with. And the story of Sir Tristram and King Mark really doesn't get told at all. And that's the fun thing. That's the fun thing. You get to be basically familiar with the stories, and still encounter all new wonderful events and characters, which is a lot of fun. Anyway, let's end Le Morte D'Arthur there for the night, ladies and gents, and move on now to Poetry Live. Tonight on Poetry Live, I am actually going to read some Mallarmé for you all. We had a bit of French last week. We're continuing the theme, and in a few minutes' time, we'll go French again with Mallarmé, which I'm very much looking forward to sharing with you. Hello, Lars. So thank you so much for coming tonight. Thank you, Karen and Clockwork and Black Rabbit and Queen and Rosie and Lars at the end. Hello, Lars. It's been wonderful to have you guys here for tonight's story. I'm going to go run off now and grab some Mallarmé and see you back again in a couple of minutes for Poetry Live. Thank you very, very much, and hello, Lars. Or I've forgotten how to actually end one of these things.